Ooh, the rare double scam. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. If you're ever hunting on Reverb early in the morning, late at night, or during the weekend in general, sometimes you'll find suspiciously good price listings. For example, some Gibson Les Paul for $1,000. But what you have to watch for is where the seller is located. Most times, it's a non-US address, it's a brand new account, they're not charging you anything for shipping, and the deal is just too good to be true. It's an obvious scam, but people fall for it all the time, thinking, hey, I finally got lucky. And then there's many different ways that they can go for after that. For example, they might actually send you something, but when you open it up, it's a box of ammonia and a toy guitar. Other times, they'll send something in the mail that gets delivered to a different address within your town. That way, the tracking still says, yes, it was delivered in your hometown, making you think the post office lost it. Because unfortunately, most carriers don't show the actual delivery address. You have to do a lot more digging. And you've got to be really careful nowadays because a lot of times these scammers are smart. They're not stupid like this mock-up listing asking $1,000. So for example, here's my real listing for the BB King live at the Regal. These were $10,000 brand new. What would you expect this to sell for on the used market? Probably between $9,000 and $10,000. But the scammers will target a price that's slightly believable, like $7,500 or $8,000. Something that just seems like a good deal, but not too good to be true. So my advice to you is if they have no feedback, ask them a whole bunch of questions. And the big one is ask for personalized photos. Make them take a picture of the guitar that has your name written on a piece of paper placed on it, and ask for more than one photo, because sometimes they're going to be cheeky and try to Photoshop it in, so at least make them work for it. And you might say, hey Trogly, why is it always late at night, early in the morning, and the weekends? It's because that's when Reverb support isn't online to take them down right away. All they need is a minute for some unsuspecting buyer to get scammed. But anyways, I wanted to share this one because it was particularly funny. The scammer scammed himself. It's the rare double scam. And I've also been noticing that they've been targeting the Humbuckle, which if you're not familiar, it was Reverb's April Fools from this year. They made this great video where the first time you watch it, you're like, what? Humbuckle. They're just whispering humbuckle. I didn't get it. But then you start to appreciate the weirdness of this video. And then it's not just a complete April Fool's joke. It is real. You can physically buy it. They just partnered with the Chibson USA guy over from Instagram and other social media accounts, where you gotta pay almost $80 to get it. But it's a humbucker belt buckle. It's pretty cool. But for some reason, this is not an isolated incident. They're targeting the humbuckle name with their scams. And most times they actually link Reverb's video down here. So I think they're doing that to get you to click on it and then make you think, oh, this is a good deal. That's $1,100. This looks like a Gibson Les Paul, right? Got rosewood fretboard, nice flame maple top, cream hardware. Yeah, that totally looks like a legitimate serial number, because usually how the scam works is they steal real photos from other dealers. But they've started to wisen up because some dealers have very distinctive styles. For example, Fretted Americana, they have a very distinct photo style. Olivia's Vintage, they have something that looks familiar. Chicago Music Exchange has the same backdrop for every single one, so when they steal those photos, yeah, it's obvious. So usually what they'll do is they'll go to Reverb, they'll look through sold listings, and they'll find something like this. A personal sale of somebody where their photos aren't the best, and they'll just rip these and put them in their own listing. And then what they do is they come down here and they just copy paste what it is. That way it looks like they know what they're selling. But this time they bit themselves in the foot because they accidentally copied a fake Gibson. So that'll help deter people away from getting scammed. But what's unique here is most of the Chibsons don't actually target 90s serial numbers. I've been starting to see that more and more often though. Typically they're mid-2000s numbers. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this humorous tale of how a scammer scammed themselves out of scamming people. And it's opened your eyes to something that you might see while shopping for guitars. But do not worry, my friends, I've got some more fun ones to share with you. Here we've got something advertised as a Gibson Tenor hollow body 60s. I actually had somebody email me about this because they thought it'd be good for Trey Tuesday. I think we can all agree at first glance, that's definitely some sort of an import body and the neck looks very strange and weird. A lot of people probably think this thing is fake. So looking at this, it actually does appear to be a real Gibson Tenor neck that was slapped on a made in Japan style body. So it is being advertised correctly, but it's kind of interesting how the Gibson Tenor neck ended up on this, unless it's actually a Gibson Banjo neck. That might be what it is because those get bolted on a little bit more than most of the set neck tenor electric guitars. We've got our bow tie inlays, although the one on the screen is a 5-string. That could be a fun tenor guitar for somebody if that's what you're into. We got it marked all the way down to $350. Here's one that caught my attention because it said natural mahogany finish. We definitely have a late 70s, early 80s style Les Paul standard. We'll have to see our serial number. But looking at that, it just looks like a natural finish to me. So I'm wondering if this person's just not necessarily familiar with the woods that Les Pauls are created with. No judgment there. We all got to start somewhere. Or maybe he just looked at the back and saw the mahogany and called it the mahogany finish. But this one's definitely a regular and natural. But what's also cool about this one is look at this big mineral streak line in this piece of wood. Some people might be scared that's a big crack, but it's likely just in the wood grain. It's kind of cool, gives it a characteristic look. But this appears to be a very nice example. And our serial number dates it to mid-1981. Something's going on with our tuner right there. I'm not sure if it got sunk into it deeper than it's supposed to, or if it's just a complete replacement tip, but that should have Tim Shaw PAFs. And this is the last full year of the maple neck. In 1982, they start the transition of getting rid of the volutes, getting rid of the maple necks, returning to mahogany. So it's kind of the end of an era guitar. And oh, nice! It still has the protector sticker on it. The one for the road. They're asking $5,000, but they also have no feedback. So proceed with caution, ask for a few additional photos. This next one I wanted to talk about because it's an L6S Deluxe. I've been meaning to document the Deluxe model. However, I had to click on this one because I like to also save lists of modified L6 guitars because there's just so many of them. People refinished them because they were just so darn cheap. People were probably practicing on these. Miraculously, it still seems we might have the Bill Lawrence design pickup still in there. But just because you don't have pull pieces on the pickup doesn't necessarily mean it. We learned that the hard way on my Cream Sparkle review and demo. But this is kind of an interesting aged Silverburst / Goldburst refinish. It's definitely not Gibson quality work. I mean, this is what a Burst 1 from Gibson looks like. And this just isn't it. And then when you get to the back, you can just tell, yeah, even further so. Looks like maybe a rattle can job to me. Looks like somebody had to carve out our serial number again within the new paint. But it's got the original case, so if you can talk them down a couple $100, it might be okay. But check out this custom Explorer. This thing's from 1983, and my goodness, does it scream it. It's been modified to have a Floyd Rose. It's been given a gem-esque swirl paint job in red, black, and purple. They even dipped it with the pickguard on it. That's hilarious. I just now noticed it. So, oh, nice. It's not the 84 style. I thought this was like the alder body version. So technically, this could be a Carina Explorer under here. We better do a little bit more digging. But there was also a lower end Explorer that had this straight line up. But okay. Here, looking at the back, we can tell it's the non-triangle layout of the slightly lower end version because we've got the maple neck. And oh man, this one hurts. You can tell it started life as white. We can hope it started life with a Kaler, but a white Explorer, that's James Hetfield territory. This thing would have been worth a boatload of money today. But hey, it still somehow miraculously retains its original case. And we've got Fury pickups in here, made in Canada. This next one has kind of a funny story. So the Les Paul Platinum series is pretty cool. I wouldn't mind documenting the true Platinum with the Platinum case. But there were also a few smaller limited edition finishes, and black is one of them. But I was scrolling through the photos of this one because you don't see the ebony finish as often. There's also like a burnt orange one. But when I got to the back of the headstock, I saw, ooh, 1 out of 5. Maybe this is more rare than I initially thought. So I continue going through these photos, trying to see, is there anything special about this? It's got a mid-2000s case that still has the case shroud. It's pretty cool. It's a nice studio. They're not asking an absurd amount of money for it. But then I go down here and it says 115 out of supposed 120 made. And then it hit me. Oh no, it's 115. Okay. I'm too used to the mod collection, having dashes when they number their things. Honestly, that's the first one I've ever seen marked like that. But it looks like they just did it with Sharpie, so it's possible they just rubbed off, or I just haven't paid attention. But what's cool about the Platinum is you get Platinum hardware. It's kind of like brushed nickel of how it has a dullness to it. They also match the back plates, your knobs, hardware, all that good stuff. But if you're looking for a vibey guitar, look at this thing. 1990 Les Paul Custom. Originally Arctic White. I've bought my fair share of white Les Paul Customs out of Japan, and a lot of them just end up looking like this. This screams Randy Rhoads, but yet you've got all this intricate finish checking at the same time. I mean, the fact that it came from Yamano, a place well known for only accepting the best of the best from Gibson, helps add to the fun story of this one. But I love the tan line shot here. They take the pickguard off, and it's actually aged under the pickguard pretty considerably, just not in this area, so you can still see your original white finish. However, you can tell it's got the dreaded fret nib gap, which is not a big deal on your lower end strings, but the high ones can get caught there. So you could refret it to get rid of that. Honestly, this example doesn't look too bad on the treble side. But take a look at the back of the neck. Like, it's not even ultra worn. It just has a little bit of wear right here exposing the white. But it was played so much, somebody had to replace the tuners. Now you might say, hey Trogly, how do you know it's been replaced? Well, it either came stock with Grovers and so they could put these Godot replacements on it, or it came stock with a Gibson tuner that didn't actually use a screw at first. Those happened in the 90s for a very short period of time. So if you take these off and you see a big indent into the guitar, that's how you know it started life with that. How much are they asking on that one? $4,500. Pretty close to stage 4, maybe not quite exactly there. Play it for a couple more years and then you might be there. And 2 more for you tonight. A Pelham Blue VSG showed up. So I would not mind having one of these in my collection because there's kind of an interesting story behind these. If you didn't know, Zakk Wylde's first Gibson guitar was one of these VSGs in the rare Pelham Blue finish. I've only ever seen a handful of these. So naturally when I see this, it's like, okay, let's check it out. Let's see what our condition is. And lo and behold, yeah. They're referencing my video in their ad, and that's probably why they're asking $3,000 for a repaired example that didn't have the best finish touch-up job, and comes in a gig bag. And it seems the seller is calling it Bahama Blue instead of Pelham Blue. So Bahama Blue was a thing in the 80s. It's a little bit darker than Pelham, but they are pretty close, so once they age, it might be tricky. This doesn't look dark enough to be Bahama. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty fine details of colors, we'd probably have to ask Randy Leonard to look them up in his books. Speaking of cool custom colors, to round out tonight's episode, we've got a cool Firebird 7 in a burgundy mist finish. All blinged out with our trem, triple Firebird pickups, ABR1 bridge, black ebony fretboard with mother of pearl block inlays. And if that's not enough for you, it also has the matching headstock, without our usual exposed edges. Custom color Firebirds are always fun. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.